David, what are your thoughts on what Alberta and Ontario have said, and do you think that it actually has any effect?
Yeah, so it's probably a good idea that the province didn't lead this, but I have no issue with businesses setting their own terms. I think it's entirely important, and it goes back to costs, right? We look at pick a hair salon where there's an outbreak. They shut down for 3, 4 days. They incur a ton of extra costs because of an outbreak. Maybe staff have to isolate depending on what the rules are. They have staff shortages. And so I don't see any issue with a particular business saying, "Hey, we're going to require a proof of vaccination and or a negative PCR test," which is what airlines have done in order to be here, and let consumers sort that out for themselves. I mean, different businesses have different needs. If you're in a hair salon or somewhere where you're maybe a little more close contact with others or with people who are working, there may be justification for it. And luckily, we live in a society where I'm sure there will be businesses that don't. And so if that's something that's a priority to you, you're free to take your business elsewhere and protest with your wallet. And so I don't think we should go the route of Florida and prevent businesses from setting their own terms. But I do generally think it's best to not have the province mandate this and let businesses sort that out based on their individual needs.
Well, interesting you mentioned this, that because you talk about businesses setting their own terms, and if there's any complaint I've heard over the past several months is businesses complaining that they haven't been able to open, that they haven't been able to set their own terms. So it's a kind of a very interesting balance we have here, and I appreciate what businesses are going through. There are some businesses, and I believe Good Life Fitness is one of them, who's actually suggested that they are in fact going to not allow vaccinated patrons into their places of business. And I don't know if this is firm, but I know there was discussion about this. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I haven't heard that before. So on the flip side of vaccine passport mandatory to vaccinated, please don't come in. What are your thoughts on that, David?
I don't think that is accurate. And I don't mean to push on that, but I don't think that I think Good Life was caught saying they were considering a mandate, and then they backtracked on it based on public pressure. I wouldn't particularly like that policy. It wouldn't make any sense in terms of transmission of COVID, but it would fall into the same category of their terms, just like a business sets their dress code. If you go to a fine dining restaurant and you show up in jean shorts, they're going to tell you have to go home and change or you're not welcome. I mean, generally speaking, we should allow for businesses to sort that out. And so I think it's ultimately up to them.
Now, that's a good point. And Hannah, do you echo that it's ultimately up to the businesses, whether they allow this patron or not? I'm always worried about the Human Rights Code here. At what point are we actually discriminating to the point where we're violating human rights? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so definitely private businesses should be able to decide many things of how they want to operate their business and that type of thing. It's incredibly important. At the same time, there's certain things they can't do, and they can't discriminate against people based upon certain things, including disabilities or medical issues or things like that. And also, if we don't have a provincial vaccine passport, I don't understand how, you're going to go to the hair salon or whatever, and they're going to ask for your physical vaccination card. Unless we're going to have a digital app or something like that, they can't ask for your, proof of immunization or something like that. It will have to be in a streamlined fashion. It's going to be incredibly cumbersome. And also, we've never had any outbreaks out of hair salons or private businesses or restaurants or stuff like that. It's always been in schools and long-term care homes and places like that.
I'm confused. Why wouldn't you be able to ask for the receipt of vaccination? I have mine. It can fold into my wallet.
I don't believe businesses are able to ask for that. I believe that's a violation of the Medical Privacy Act.
That's a good point. So if the government is not mandating vaccine passports, then does the business have a right to ask for it? Go ahead.
It's just as much of a violation as the requirement to have your child vaccinated for measles, mumps, and rubella. We've heard kind of the slippery slope of what's next, but that runs the other way. Would we is that a human rights violation if Like, are you suggesting we should get rid of those mandates for children to go to school in terms of those very infectious diseases?
Well, okay, but there's exemptions for those types of mandates in schools, whereas a private business could be like, we're not accepting any non-vaccinated people, right? Where there would be no cases where they will allow in people who have not gotten the vaccine. So, I mean, people can go elsewhere, and businesses like that, I hope, will suffer for such discriminatory policies if they so choose to instate them.